In this video, I am going to give an introduction to the concept of a random variable and its probability distribution. So, what is a variable? Of course, a variable is simply a quantity that can vary. Some quantities vary in a way that is very uniform or predictable, and some quantities vary in a way that is unknown in advance. So, let's take a look at what we have. We're going to define a random variable, okay, using the big capital letter X here. Okay, so there's our X. This is a function that represents the process, okay? And here we will define it as follows. It's the number of heads that come up when we toss a coin 2 times. Okay, so this is the definition of our random variable. Right? It's the number of heads that come up when we toss a coin 2 times. Now, we don't know in advance how many heads will come up when we do toss a coin 2 times. So there's an element of randomness to the values of X. So let's take a look at the various possibilities that we might get. We're tossing a coin 2 times. So I will draw a little tree so as to help us navigate through the problem. Here's one, and here's the other. Say on the first toss you get either a tail or a head. Once this has occurred on the second toss, what are the possibilities? Either a head or a tail, or if the first toss is a head, then on the second toss we have the possibilities of a head or a tail. Okay, so X is the number of heads that come up when we toss a coin 2 times. So this is, let's break this up into what you see here. Right, these possibilities of a tail or a head, these are on the first try. Okay, so first toss. Then on the second toss, you have these possibilities. So this is the second toss. Okay, so let's list these now. You can get a tail or a head. You can get a tail or a tail, or a head and a head, or a head and a tail. These are the possibilities, and how do you obtain them? Simply read the tree from left to right. Tail, head, tail, tail, head, 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 tail. So these are the possibilities on the first, and then these are the possibilities on the second toss of the coin. Now, the next step is to do this. The probability of a tail followed by a head is 1 out of 4. And then the probability of a tail followed by a tail, as you can tell from the picture here, is also 1 out of 4. And then the probability of a head followed by a head is also 1 out of 4. And the probability of a head followed by a tail is also 1 out of 4. But our variable says X is the number of heads that come up when we toss a coin 2 times. The number of heads that come up when you toss a coin 2 times. So, let's list them. And as always, whenever you talk about variables, you draw a little horizontal axis. So that is what I'm going to do right now. Draw a horizontal axis. and mark the values of the variable on the axis. Okay, so this is our x. And what are the possible values of the variable? Well, x is the number of heads that come up when you toss a coin 2 times. So if you get a tail and a tail, then you see no heads have come up. So one possibility is that 0 heads may come up. Okay, so we'll mark a 0 over here. The other possibility is the following. If a tail or a head or a tail comes up, then 1 head has appeared. And the last possibility is this. If you get a head followed by a head, that means 2 heads have appeared. So now we're going to write the probability function to go with this as follows. The number of ways, right, that you get 0 heads is only 1. It's 1 out of 4. So we may want to do is this. That's the probability that you will get 0, 1 out of 4. That's the meaning of the blue segment above the 0. What about the probability of getting 1 head? Well, that's different. Notice that that comes from the following. Either a head and a tail or a tail and a head. So that is 2 out of 4. So we have to draw a segment of double the length of the first. So that looks like this. And then once again, what's the probability of 2 heads? That happens in only 1 out of 4 ways. So you mark a segment that looks like this above the 2. So this is the probability function to go with our random variable. So one more time to review. X, the random variable, is the number of heads that come up when we toss a coin 2 times. To ease the process, we draw a little tree like this. Once you have the tree drawn, then you can list the possibilities more easily. So you have tail, head, tail, tail, head, 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 tail. Then the probability of getting a tail followed by a head is 1 out of 4. The probability of a tail followed by a tail is once again 1 out of 4. Head and head, 1 out of 4. Head followed by a tail, also 1 out of 4. But our question is the number of heads that come up when we toss a coin 2 times. So the number of heads is either 0 or 1 or 2. 0 occurs only when you have a head followed by a, when you have a tail followed by a tail, so that's 1 out of 4. 1 head occurs when you have tail, head, or head, tail, so that's a quarter plus a quarter, which is the same as 1/2, of course. And lastly, the probability of 2 heads is 1 out of 4. So this is our x-axis. The random variable is defined as given up here. And then this is how you derive the probability function of this random variable. Thank you for watching.